Hey guys, Coach Jason, hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about something which is very important, and it's important to training, it's important to pretty much everything. And one of my runners, my athlete Javier, inspired me to do this, and he made a great suggestion. He suggested that I do a video about what happens when you have you're off for a day. You have an off workout, a bad day, a bad couple of days, bad workout, whatever it might be. The effect that it could have on the psyche, or even being afraid to tell a coach, and so, whatever it may be. But it's an important subject, and it's very relevant to training. I've been through it as a former competitive athlete. I've guided my athletes through stuff like that as a coach over the past 20 years, and it is a real thing. Okay, but it's important to keep a couple things in perspective. Okay, number one, if you have an off day, it happens. No matter what sport you're training for or competing in, it happens. Whether it be 800 meters to the marathon, triathlon, different sports, there are going to be days where we just feel like trash, okay? And we just don't have it. That's okay. That's also what happens when you're training at a relatively high level or a super high level for an event that's hard. And a lot of these running events are hard, particularly the longer ones. So we have to understand that it is part of the process. But with that said, it is important to make sure that you check and make sure you're not injured, make sure you're not sick, okay? And check those things off first, because they could be contributing factors. Now, the other factors that go into play is are you doing the other things? Are you being consistent? And consistency is key. Are you obviously fueling pre and post run workout? Are you stretching? Are you sleeping enough? Are you hydrating enough? Doing the little things. Stuff like that can either put you over the top or catch up to you and come to haunt you potentially when you need it the most. So it's important to be consistent, whatever type of training program you have. It's also important, as a coach, especially to communicate it with your coach, if you have one, and let him or her know how you're feeling. And again, it's okay to have an off day or a couple off days or a couple off weeks. I had a kid who I coached in high school who ended up running about 9:20 for 2 miles as a senior, and one of my better athletes in high school, he had an off, right after cross country, did really well, and was off the entire indoor season, which is sluggish, but he was having good workouts, he was having good runs, he was feeling okay, but his races were just not there, and it was frustrating. And guys that he would normally beat, he was getting beat by pretty handily. And again, it was very frustrating. He started to doubt himself and so on and so forth. And I said, well, it's important to evaluate what we've done here. Okay, you've done a good block of training. Okay, you're definitely fitter than what the races are indicating that you're ready for. So, looking back and saying, okay, are we recovering enough? Are we doing this, doing that? And if you see my training programs, and I'll put a couple in the training plan down below, in the description down below, I put in off days every 2 to 3 weeks, okay? And obviously an easier day or two every week as well, okay? So that there's a balance of training, be hard and easy and stuff. And what that does is it allows you to train and recover simultaneously, so you're not having to feel like you have to make a drastic taper, or I need to take 5 days off or whatever every couple of months. Even though after a long season I do give downtime as well, obviously, but so that you're not getting to the point where you're feeling fried, or so that you're not feeling like like he felt for a long period of time. If you're training and recovering at the same time, you can do a longer bout of training, okay, and you can do a more kind of diverse amount of training as well, because it'll also put you in a position to be more well-rounded too. But it's important to give yourself a chance to not only adapt, but to recover as well. But keeping in mind, going back to having an off day or a sluggish day or feeling off for a couple days, it happens. It's okay. Okay, obviously it's easier said than done. It's gotten to me it's happened to me when I was a competitor. It's happened to my athletes, so it does affect you. And sometimes you feel like I'm just not doing it. I'm not. My coach is gonna be upset, or I feel like crap. Whatever it is, it all happens. It happens to all of us. Okay, and it's part of training at a high level, and we have to recognize that and accept that. Okay, but the more consistent you are, okay, and again, being responsible and being diligent and the more you can kind of stay consistent along that way, the better off you're going to be on the back end, and have a kind of a welcome back moment. That's exactly what my guy did. He had a welcome back moment, and then he started beating these guys, and he had the best 2-mile race of his life, and it was like, welcome back, man. And then he had a great rest of the year. I think the same thing can happen for you as well. So it's important to obviously, use common sense first. Make sure you're not sick. Make sure you're not injured. Okay, but make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to do the work and recover. Obviously, it's based on your lifestyle. You have work. You have a family. I get it. So you have to kind of make it work for you. And if you have a coach, I obviously encourage you to have a good open dialogue about that so that they can design your training around your lifestyle and around the things that you do. But these things happen. And again, it's okay. And it's part of it. And again, from a coach standpoint, I get frustrated too. Like if my athlete's not feeling good, I'm looking back and saying, okay, did we do too much of this, too much of that? Which is why it's good to also document training, or at the very least send your coach your training at the end of the week, so that people like myself, kind of stat nerds, can take a look at it and say, okay, this is working, that worked, and you can see, okay, we had a good block of training here. That good performance could be attributed to that, and so on. That good time chunk could be attributed to that. So you can go back and look and see what works. And that doesn't mean it's going to work the next time or the next year. You might need to make modifications, but that's the whole point of looking at the training as well, so that you can see or pick out the things that have worked. And as an athlete gets fitter and more experienced, you could build off of those things, okay? But with that said, I could take a look at some of the training programs that I have in the description, because you'll see, like I said, how I lay out the training, and you'll see consistent, recovery patterns. And again, the older you get, the more fitter you get, you may not need as much, but and obviously the professional athletes don't need them as much because they're in an environment that's simply training and recovering and having all the things that help enhance their recovery and performance. So it's a little different on their end, but for us, it's important to embrace the process, embrace the grind, even embrace the pain. Okay, but the fitter you become, you'll start to realize too that you'll have days where you feel like complete garbage, but you will run out of your gourd. You will just run lights out fast, faster than you ever run, and you're looking back and say, God, I felt like crap. That's your enhanced fitness, and that's the benefit of being consistent and doing the little things and doing the big things. Okay, you never know when it's going to happen. Okay, but it'll happen if you keep being consistent. Okay, and accept the fact that you will have off days. It happens, or off weeks. It's okay. You're not going to nail every workout. You're not going to nail every race. Even if you look at all these Olympic folks, people who you think, oh my God, he was dominating or she was dominating all year, and then, at the worst time, they have the worst race of their life. It happens. It's part of the, process. You can't nail it every time. Okay, but that said, the more consistent you are, and the more you kind of allow yourself a chance to adapt, recover, train, and do all the little things, and become more well-rounded, the more dangerous you're going to be, okay? And the more opportunities you're going to have for yourself, or have given yourself, to maximize the days where you feel really good, okay? So I hope this was insightful. I hope this was helpful a little bit. I want to thank Javier again for bringing that up, because he had an off workout the other day, and he felt, he was just upset, and I get it. I totally get it. But a couple days later, he had a great one. It's just part of the process, okay? And it's being consistent and continuing to plug along, but having a good dialogue with your coach is important about this stuff, okay? It's our jobs to monitor these things and say, okay, he or she's not feeling too well. Let's, do we need to scale things back? Do we need to modify things? This isn't really working. That's where coaching comes into play. And if you don't have one, if you have questions, you want to have dialogue about it, put them in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to talk with you back and forth about it, okay? Or help any way that I can. So with that, I hope this was helpful. Take a look in the videos down below. I'm also going to put one, by the way, on how to set up your training volume, and you'll see, the progression of volume. And one of the things that I will say is that, let's just say 70 miles a week in 7 days, which is 10 miles a day, nice even number. It's important to, let's say you're alternating, you have a day off every 14 days. That doesn't mean the next day, the next week when you're running 6 days, also run 70 miles, okay, to make up for the mileage or whatever from the off day. That negates the purpose of the off day completely, okay? you drop it down, you average the same amount the following week. So you run 60 in 6 days and 70 in 7 days and so on. That's if you have a recovery day every 2 days. I mean, every 2 weeks. If you have one every 3 weeks, that's okay too. I generally alternate an off day on Sunday and then the following Sunday an easy day of like 3 to 4 miles because you've just done a long run and something else and so on and so forth. So it's just part of how I structure training for most people. Not everybody, most people. But again, off days happen. They're part of it. It's okay. It's important to understand, embrace it, and keep moving forward. Okay. And again, as long as you're not hurt, injured, sick, which are the most important things to check out the boxes. Okay. Then it's okay to feel off for a little bit. Okay. It's part of training. You could be going through a heavy block of training where you're going to feel fatigued. That's okay. But if you do it all, the following block of training, you'll feel a heck of a lot better. And that's all part of adaptation too. Okay, which is why it's important to do 3 to 4 week blocks of something so you can adapt before making a change. Because if you kind of do changes every week or go up every week or down, there's a good chance that you might feel off more often than not. Okay, out of sync, out of rhythm. Okay, not having enough time to adapt. So with that, I kind of went off on a bunch of different tangents, but let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this, please hit the thumbs up. And if you like running content, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. And hit the bell next to it so you don't miss stuff that I'm going to be putting out moving forward. And I'm going to continue to put out 2 good videos every week. So, but take a look at the ones in the description down below because they're relevant to this video. And be safe. Okay, train hard, train smart, embrace the pain. Talk to you soon.